Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the International GT Open. Round 7 takes us to Barcelona here in Spain. Usually the final round on the calendar, but this time we're switching things up. Air temperature up a little bit from our last trip at Austria. It was immensely cold back then. We couldn't even get into the 10 degrees mark or into the double digits at all at that point. Obviously there was a dusting of snow. This time though, the sunshine has broken through, and also the sun is shining in terms of the championship. We've got a huge fight on our hands between, once again, Lamborghinis and Audis, with Haase and Riker retaking the lead of the championship after Alessio De Leda took it briefly after an absolutely sensational second race win of the season at race 1 at Red Bull Ring. Haase and Riker, though, would respond perfectly, managing to take a victory on home soil in race 2 to retake the lead in the championship. And it currently stands only 3 points between them in what can only be described as such a vast championship fight. Jordan Pepper also sat in third place for the title standings with 78 points against his name. Vincent Abril, Nicola Marinangeli down in fourth on 68 points. They could yet be a danger, and they're also matched on points with Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller, who also were furiously fast in free practice. They went fastest in free practice 2, nestling in at 1:41.359, going off from their fastest private test one time to open up the weekend with a 1:41.197. But incidentally, free practice 3 went to Valentin Pierberg and Aaron Walker for Get Speed, who managed to usher in a 1:41.826. But the bronze test going to our reigning Pro-Am champions, Marco Polcini and Eddie Cheever of Spirit of Race, a 1:42.595 to take them to the top there. But a very exciting weekend ahead. The sun shining, as we so rightly said, and this is a car that would also take Leonardo Polcini to the championship victory at this circuit back in 2022. He's hoping for a winning return. Let's see who is going to take a winning return on the run in towards the final frontier, that's Monza. George Morgan here in the commentary box alongside me, Chris Stevens. And Chris, penultimate round time.
Yes, and potentially our first opportunity to crown some champions this weekend. Marco Polcini is certainly very well placed in the Pro-Am standings, as he is 21 points ahead of Karol Basch and Marcin Jedlinski once the drop scores have been applied provisionally. If he were to increase that to a 30-point advantage, by one further point, I should say, because it's fewer points in the subcategories. It's 10 for a victory rather than 15. So if he outscores Basch and Jedlinski by the end of the weekend by 1 point, then we will be able to crown him champion. It's looking very similar in the AM Championship as well, with Giuseppe Cipriani, currently 22 clear of that. So if he holds that throughout the weekend, then we'll be able to call him a champion on Sunday. But the overall championship is looking a bit like a two-horse race now between East Talent Racing and the number 10 Oregon Lamborghini of Alessio De Leda. Car he shares with Jordan Pepper, but they have different points tallies because Jordan Pepper missed the Budapest round. Don't discount Abril and Marinangeli as well. They have been in a rich vein of form lately, and a win in either of these two remaining rounds and some dramas for their rivals ahead of them could shake things up.
Yeah, they took a huge victory back at Paul Ricard in race 2, which was Vincent Abril's home race at Paul Ricard. As we ride on board here with Oregon Team Lamborghini being driven by Leonardo Polcini, and he's got a new teammate in the form of Alberto De Falco as well, who is also a familiar driver to this series, has raced in the past in Lamborghini machinery, no less than last season we saw him racing here. Remember, he also partook at Monza in what was his home race that year. But Polcini knows exactly what it's like to win. As I alluded to before, 2022 was where he won the title after beating back against the likes of Nick Moss and Joe Osborne, who were trying to advance Optimum Motorsport. It literally went right down to the driver change window with a huge stop being made by Optimum. And we saw Jerry Canavicio animated in the pit lane, just saying, "Zwei, zwei, go, go," he was saying to Leonardo Polcini. Eventually he did. He went and managed to cruise across the line 9, taking the checkered flag and also laying claim to his title alongside Benjamin Hites. Obviously a different circumstance this season, but great to see him back in the familiar Oregon team colours as always here this campaign. A Lamborghini factory driver as well, as we ride on board with him, climbing up the hill around the right hand and descending down in towards the next left at Lakea. But yes, we're going to have a feast of racing on hand. This, incidentally, the final weekend in 2024 where we have 2 races across a weekend, because when we go to Monza, it's the Enduro, Chris.
Yeah, so the last weekend of our traditional sprint format of a 70-minute and a 60-minute race before we move into the GT Open 500, it's called at Monza, the 2.5 endurance double points finale, which is a grand way to end a championship, particularly one that's been as competitive as this. We've had so many different race winners. We've had 6 different race winners so far this year, and there are plenty of different contenders for a 7th. Not least the Greystone GT McLaren, the new pro entry. D. McDonald is driving that car, the McLaren factory driver for this session. They were on the podium in their debut weekend at Red Bull Ring last time out, and they'll only go from strength to strength, and so I have a very strong feeling that we will see McLaren back on top for the first time this year. But of course, that was another car that hadn't taken a win yet, the SBS Mercedes, number 20 of Baumann and Pitamba. So there are plenty of different contenders for victory in these remaining 3 races of the season that aren't necessarily our championship challengers. I think this is another one as well, the car collection Porsche. And given how much tyre degradation we've been seeing throughout the weekend, the Porsches seem to be quite well placed.
Yeah, they tend to perform quite well, and I think they'll perform well here because obviously tyre degradation has been a big factor. We were talking about it earlier on as well. If you tune into the GT Cup Open broadcast qualifying session earlier on, there was a lot of conversations around the Ferrari paddock, obviously where the Ferrari teams are concerned, Mertel Motorsport drivers, obviously trying to find ways through the use of the setup in order to maximise their abilities to go fast and try and withstand the forces that are being applied on that rubber, the Michelin rubber. And again, that's going to be another factor here this time in GT Open machinery. Nico Menzel, we'll talk about the times. 1:39.613 for Nico Menzel at the top of the timing tower. We then have Dean McDonald currently sat in second as well, 1:39.765. Fastest in the speed trap, however, but Nico Menzel holding on to the purple first and third sectors. Eddie Cheever was Pro-Am champion, reigning and looking to defend the championship alongside Marco Polcini. They currently sit third in this timing tower as well. Marzio Moretti, 4th currently for the Team Oregon Lamborghini, highest of the Pro-Ams as well. And now we see, Aaron Walker jump up, and not Moretti in terms of Pro-Am. Obviously he's a pro, but Aaron Walker ahead of Eddie Cheever now this time, so he takes the Pro-Am lead in qualifying, with Cheever now down in 5th, Marzio Moretti in P6. Jamie Stanley in 6th now as well, so the timing tower starting to move as we see the faster times roll inwards. Menzel now climbing up through towards Kamsa Corner now. Yeah,
it's an interesting one with Cheever because he missed around as well. He missed Paul Ricard because he was on another program, and so they do it again. They have a different points tally, but Cheever is still second in the standings.
Yeah,
and so I think that just shows how well they've been doing in what is a ridiculously competitive Pro-Am field. It was impressive last year when they won the championship, but to do what they've done this year is just above and beyond, absolutely marvellous.
I mean, regardless of whether Cheever's missed a round or not, with Polcini winning, that would still feel like a victory as far as Cheever's concerned, because he's been alongside for those major moments that have led to Polcini taking the Pro-Am title.
Yes, and they've shared all the wins, all 4 of their class wins, all 5 of their class wins, I should say, sorry. Throughout the year, and we're on board here with Leonardo Polcini. They are not messing around out there, are they? Straight into the 39s, the front runners. So where is Polcini ended up? 9th fastest at the moment for the Lamborghini factory driver. 5 kilogram brake for the Lamborghini compared to last time out at Red Bull Ring, but a smaller restrictor on that 5.2 litre V10 as well, so slightly less power than what was available to them 2 weeks ago. And so we'll see how that happens. And the Lamborghini really working its tyres as well. But we do have a spin for the number 12 car collection Porsche down at turn 10 by the looks of it. And the number 12 is being driven by a Hash. So just what looks like a fairly harmless spin. Continues on his way. And yes, that was down at turns 10 and 11. But it is a double left, technically. They do still class that as two separate corners before you swing into that long right-hander. And this is a new livery
for Bartone
and Schiller, the number 9, which of course was whacked.
It met an impact,
yes.
Unfortunately, which I think might have led to the change in colour scheme. Because they were, of course, if you remember correctly, donning the red shade back at Austria, but after the huge crash that unfortunately Anthony Bartone had heading into the Tech Pro barriers, I mean, remember the aquaplaning that we had, the weather was vastly different to what we've got this weekend, a lot colder back at Austria, and the rain tumbled down, and we had mixed conditions issues. Fresh tarmac was laid down, and obviously combine that with the wet weather that was on, you know, basically front and centre for us throughout the entire weekend. It made it so slippery out there, and unfortunately for Bartone, got caught with it. He wasn't the only one. Leonardo Polcini did a full-on pirouette on the run-up through towards turn 3 and was very lucky to save it.
Did a 720 on the run-up towards turn 3. And in no way was it Bartone's fault.
Not at all.
It was just aquaplaning out there. And but it is Fabian Schiller at the wheel of that car for this session, the Mercedes Works driver. And so they missed race 2 in Red Bull Ring because of that heavy damage that was sustained. And see, now we're going to get confused between that car and the sister Get Speed Mercedes, the AM car,
aren't
we? Because that's a very similar shade of yellow. In fact, there it is. You can barely tell the difference between them.
Just look out for the skull and crossbones on the side of the car.
That's a very good point. Right, this is the Pro Greystone GT McLaren that debuted 2 weeks ago at the Red Bull Ring. Dean McDonald currently second fastest, 4 tenths away from Nico Menzel's provisional pole time. Menzel was really quick in the early stages of the Red Bull Ring qualifying session as well, and then it really fell away towards the end. So let's see if he can maintain it this time. And the first victim of the last corner gravel trap is the sister Greystone GT McLaren, the 66, which is Stuart Proctor, the dad of the lad and dad combination in that car, but gets it out and continues on his way.
Yeah, managed to rescue it coming out of the final corner. We've seen a few cars go off there. We saw it in GT Cup Open Europe, incidentally, first thing when we got qualifying action underway. The Blau Motorsport, of course, Ferrari as well, making its way around the circuit too, now making its way out of Bank Sabadell very shortly through Europe car alike. And Marcelo Han behind the wheel of this one, this Brazilian outfit, as they now cruise down the straight. Let's see what they can usher in. Lucas Dunner going 6 fastest as well. Lucas Dunner with a new teammate. Julian Hanses alongside him at Motor Park, and has also carried a raft of experience, now popped up into 6 fastest, and they were fastest in private test 2 with a 1:41.361, one of the more competitive times that we've seen this weekend, only outshone by Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller's 1:41.197 that was set at the very start in private test 1.
Yeah, but fastest time before this session was a 1:41.359 set in FP2 by Schiller. And this is just a replay of Marcelo Han, I think, skipping up some gravel through the final corner. Oh, maybe not. But this is the car that is currently on provisional pole position, top 4 all in pit lane at the moment. Simon Riker in 5th position, continuing to circulate in the championship leading East Talent Racing Audi. Speak of the devil. There he is, coming through into the middle sector. Now they come here with just a 3-point lead over Alessio Deleda in the number 10 Oregon Lamborghini. Victory on home soil for them last time out. Our most recent race winners in race 2 at the Red Bull Ring. Their 4th victory of the season. This car has been an absolute winning machine for a team that, you know, came here last year at the final round, having not won a race all year, but still fighting for the championship. It has been such a turnaround for this team that started the year with victory at the Dubai 24 Hours as well, and is going from strength to strength as Dominic Baumann in the number 20 SBS Automotive Performance Mercedes goes third fastest, but still 0.8 of a second away from Nico Menzel. That really is a really strong benchmark that the German has put down.
It certainly is. Menzel, though, still at the top with that gap. And remember, it was Menzel and Bergstrom who were trying to close on the back of De Leder off the back of that first race at Red Bull Ring last time out. Unfortunately, at the very end, Bergstrom not finding enough at the very end of the stint to try and challenge De Leder, as De Leder started lapping faster towards the very end. That granted Oregon yet another race win at Red Bull Ring. Their form run continuing this season as well. But the East Talent Audi now making its way down the pit straight. And of course, the last time they took pole position was at Hockenheim Ring in race 2. And what did they do? They went from pole to victory in dominant fashion, Chris.
Does seem to be their way, doesn't it? And we've had something ridiculous. Is it 9 different pole sitters we've had this year? It's been an absolutely remarkably competitive year in terms of qualifying. I think I saw that stat on the GT Open Instagrams during the Red Bull Ring weekend. As Marzio Moretti just getting a bit held up behind the Blau Motorsport Ferrari. Marzio Moretti has had good form around this track. He's been on pole here in GT Cup Europe last year when he came here with the Super Trofeo car, and then I think it was in Italian GT as well. He was also on pole.
Yeah, Alessandro Cosi in the paddock as well, just getting some prep in place, ready for yet another run. Of course, we've still got 13 minutes and 18 to go. Many cars still out on track as well. Baumann being one of them, Marzio Moretti, Stanley, Polcini as well. Currently sat down in 15th place. We're looking to try and lift himself higher towards the closing stages. And once again, speak of the devil, it's a sister Oregon car that's making its way through. This, of course, being the 19 belonging to Marzio Moretti.
Yeah, it is difficult to discern between the three of them. What you've got to look out for is the green trim. So the end plates and the front there on the 19, yellow for the number 10, and then it's the pink, isn't it, for the 63. So the 3 colours of the Pirate team, adding in the trim there. And then this is the pink trimmed 63 car. Not that you can see the pink from this angle, but it's an angle we very much enjoy watching Polcini at work, bouncing over those curbs through 6 and 7. Or 7 and 8, I should say. And really flirting with danger on the not only the track limits, but the gravel trap on the left-hand side there, through that very fast right-hander at turn 9 into the sort of new, old, new part of the racetrack, where it looks the same as what it did 20 years ago, but there was a time where it was a nice tight hairpin instead, through a much faster end to the lap that we've been using since last year. Oh, there was a lift there. I thought they'd be flat through there, but this one definitely not. But really feathering the throttle through those last couple of corners. It's 4th fastest for the Lamborghini factory driver, but still a full second away from Menzel.
Yeah, decent run though for Polcini. Sets the tone, or sets the bar ready for the remaining 11 and 30 that we have left here in Q1. And no doubt maybe looking to go again to register yet another lap. Certainly finding his groove right now is Leonardo Polcini. Great return as well on show from Dean McDonald as well. Greystone bringing yet another car to the grid here in the International GT Open. They made their maiden debut appearance back at Red Bull Ring. Of course, it was James Kell alongside him too, and they also opened up their account with a maiden podium as well, which was a grand performance on their part. Dominic Baumann sat behind them as well in 3rd place. If you remember back to last year, it was his teammate Mikel Pitamba who put in that really incredible, sensational defensive display with the caliber of drivers he had breathing down his neck in the closing stages of that race. It truly was a thrill to watch, and Pitamba was quite the headliner last season, taking wins both with Re-Spa and also the driver that he shares the grid with, Dominic Baumann, this season, Chris.
Absolutely. We hope to see more of that again this weekend. It was a mighty display, wasn't it? Meanwhile, Jamie Stanley, the British racer in the AF Corsa number 55 Ferrari has taken the Pro-Am pole position in 5th overall, away from Aaron Walker and Eddie Cheever, all line astern. And they're only those 3 cars are only separated by 8 thousandths of a second as it stands. So once again, the Pro-Am Championship is delivering in droves. And in the AM category, currently it is Christian Korzanowski in 15th position overall, with a couple of cars between himself and Timo Rumpf-Kyle.
Yeah. As we now watch the qualifying continue, it's still Menzel up at the top. 9 minutes and 45. It's a go so far. Jim Pla making his way around the final segment. Scuderia Villorba Corsa, who have just this weekend added a GT Cup Open Europe car to their grid sheet as well. They'll be hoping that SVC can do well this time alike. As Pla now comes up towards the line to begin a lap, another flash of the lights as well, just to obviously make his appearance known to other cars that are out on track in order to have an evasive-free hot lap here at this stage. We've got some movements as well here in this latter sector as you now watch the good speed of the combination. Remember, Dan Arrow representing this lineup as well, but I think his teammate might be in the car this time.
Yeah, it was a slow-moving Nicola Marinangeli having just come out of pit lane that Jim Pla was flashing the lights at. Yeah, and yes, it is Poitou Vera, the Polish gentleman driver in the Goodspeed car as it stands. Pro-Am battle continuing here at Timo van der Helm. Oh, spin out of turn 2 and into the gravel. Who is that? It's the Attempto Audi, is it not?
Looks like it. Of course, the combination of Alex Arkinacker and Florian Scholze, I believe, this weekend. Obviously, Scholze returning back to the series, and he is in the car as well. So, unfortunately for Florian Scholze, a spin coming out of turn 1 and turns 2. Remember, he was a race winner overall in the GT Open. Remember, representing in Pro-Am class at Hungaroring back in 2022. They took a famous Mercedes victory. Here's the replay of the moment. Scholze just getting it wrong on the curb on the inset, coming in towards turn 3. And the rear end just spitting him out into the gravel. Not ideal at all. And he looks well and truly beached.
Yep, so the red flags are out. I think the clock was reset to about 8.5 minutes. So cars will make their way back to pit lane under controlled speed of 50 kilometers an hour. And we'll get that car extracted from the gravel trap. Yep, there is Piotr Vera sharing the car with Dan Arrow, the Goodspeed team, Polish entry. Nothing to do with the Get Speed Nürburgring taxi team. As yeah, you can see the rear end of that Audi very much planted in the gravel there. So the marshals at work, and we obviously, as always, thank them for their service to help us go racing. That is one of 4 Audis on the grid for this weekend of the 35 cars in total. It's also 3 Porsche, 3 McLaren, 5 Lamborghini, 8 Ferraris, and 12 Mercedes. And in all of that, we currently have, is it 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 in this qualifying as it stands? Menzel's Porsche, McDonald's McLaren, Bauman's Mercedes, Polcini's Lamborghini, and Stanley's Ferrari.
Yeah, quite the raft. And I think a great way to obviously advertise the brilliance of the BOP, really, that the
absolutely
that the championship has put in place. So very much a nice square footing for the teams to work with and the drivers alike. All quiet out on track now as the cars come into the pits to reassess. 8 minutes and 27. Still Menzel, clear at the top, 1:39 at 3:35. That's just over 4 tenths faster than Dean McDonald. Who's currently sat in second place for the Greystone GT McLaren outfit. Timo van der Helm, we've also got for car collection. There's Scholze. He's managed to get out of the gravel trap. The marshals doing a stellar job to fish the Audi R8 LMS out. You can just see the stones there being lifted off the tyres. Going to need to try and shake those off so they're not in position for the rest of the session. But good news and great to see, because it means that we'll very shortly be back underway, I'm sure.
And it means that Scholze can rejoin the session as well without having his times deleted. So it will be able to get back out there, and we'll still have 35 cars in this qualifying session. Also split between the different classes, of course. It's 11 Pro cars, 20 Pro-Am cars, and 4 in Am as well.
Brilliant to see. Of course, the current drivers that hold the wins record so far in our championship overall, of course, Faisal Zubair, who is looking to march a return to the championship, I'm sure, soon. Of course, taking part this season with Michael Grenier. They both currently hold the numbers, the all-time wins record out of the grid that we've got this season. Obviously, they're still chasing the 20 that have been laid down by Andrea Montemini and Miguel Ramos. Of course, Montemini was with us last year.
They're not actually here this weekend, are they, George? Because
They're not here this weekend, but of course have taken part in the championship this season, but hold the all-time wins.
But that was the plan for them, wasn't it? In fact, they were
still an entry.
They were still on the entry list, and I remember the original plan was for them to do this race as well, and that was going to be a real stickler for the championship contenders as well. Yeah, it was the original plan to do Barcelona. Of course, they did Portimao and Spa. So, yeah, not sure why they decided not to end up coming here, but it's probably to the relief of some of the other pro cars, given that they have been quite winning machines in the
hence
GT
the numbers.
Open.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, in fact, of the 3 races they've done this year, they've won 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, 7, like I said, 7 on hand for Faisal Zubair, placing him as the highest win, with the highest win ratio out of the entire grid that we've had this season. So credit to him. Still, like I said, a long way to go before he catches up with Andrea Montemini and Miguel Ramos, who are currently sat on 20. Of course, we have had Ricard Lietz in the past. Of course, if you look back to last season where he was racing for the Porsche outfit, he actually holds 13, just ahead of Jose Camathias, who's on 12. But as we now take a look at some slow-mos of the cars out on track, we just caught view of Nico Menzel and the car collection Porsche that sits on top. Looking to come back and maybe go a little bit better than they did at Austria. Of course, laying down a podium is certainly no mean feat, but to return again and potentially take a win would be nice. I mean, they've had a podium 3 times so far this campaign, and incidentally, this would be their first pole position of the season, just to add to those number of different pole sitters that we've already had this campaign.
Yes, and is it 3 podiums, the third one they scored in Red Bull Ring? Yes, it was. Yeah. Best finish of 2nd place, still looking for that first win. So that team is coming on strong as we have green flags being waved. Once again, we can get the remaining 8 minutes of this qualifying 1 session underway. But it's the first full year for the 992 at Porsche in the GT Open. We had 1 wildcard outing with that car at the Spa Enduro last year, but Car Collection making their debut in the championship this year, and also bringing the 992 into full-time competition. And of course, very experienced in that outfit with Porsche machinery as well. And so, building on a strong foundation there, and still very much a contender for outright victory in these remaining 3 races of the season. Now that is now which of the Get Speeds is that? That's the AM car, the 786, which is still in championship contention with Adam Osaka and Kiki Saknana. They are tied on points with the Motor Park entry when you apply the chop score as well. Oh, actually, even if you don't apply the chop score, but they're both on 66 with Timo Ravkal and Heiko Neumann, which is also the battle for team bosses that are also driving their cars between Adam Osaka and Timo Ravkal, who celebrated his 49th birthday yesterday. So happy birthday to Timo Ravkal, and I'm sure a victory for any of his cars, any of his many cars that Motorpark are running in all 3 classes this weekend would be a welcome gift.
I'm sure it would be, and he's got opportunities to do it because, of course, Diego Menchaca and Marco Seber are obviously a very talented pairing to have out on track, but also all eyes on Lucas Dunner and Julian Hanses as well. And Hanses, incidentally, in his first weekend, as I said, going fastest in practice private test 2, managing to nestle in a 141.361 alongside Lucas Dunner. I mean, that could be certainly the dark horses of this race weekend. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can pull out the bag. Obviously, Timo celebrated with a cake. I know that the team came out and there was a big presentation of this birthday cake that came out. Instead, it's not only his birthday this weekend, but also we were celebrating earlier on Christopher Haas's birthday too.
So, yes, on Thursday.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they've all been talking about his birthday celebration. So Easter Lent will be hoping that they can take a big advancement in terms of their championship charge. They currently lead the standings, but this could be a very crucial round on the run-up to Monza. So you never know, it could be a welcome birthday surprise.
37th birthday for the Audi Works driver.
Years young, 37 years young.
They're both going to be mad at me for revealing the ages, but yes. And we're talking of the 96 Motorpark Mercedes, the Lucas Dunner one. Lucas Dunner probably had his best race weekend in GT Open last time out at Red Bull Ring. The young Austrian's really building up on strength there. Of course, had his home race last time out. And it is a new teammate. Lorenzo Fluxer, who was the sort of permanent replacement for Charles Bateman, but there are clashes with his European Le Mans Series program for these last 2 rounds, and so it is the former Carrera Cup racer Julian Hanses who joins him for this round at least. I think, has he been confirmed for Monza as well?
We'd have to double check that.
Yeah,
one.
we'll have to double check that. We'll do that during the break between now and the race as Eddie Chiva builds up to a flying lap here in the championship leading Spirit of Race Ferrari 296. Remember, he was third, but it was Ollie Webb who banged in the Pro-Am provisional pole time while we were waiting for the session to get back underway. So he's 5th fastest as it stands. And Diego Menchaca suddenly joining the party as well. He's gone 3rd fastest in the number 17 Motorpark Mercedes. Another car that's still looking for its first win of the season.
And they've been close to getting that first win as well, very nearly capturing the Spa Enduro until they had an error in the pit stop phase during the driver change, which brought an end to it. On the face of it, they were the solid favourites after that initial stint of brilliance, those initial stints that really did bring them to the top, and they were surefire favourites after that to claim victory, but it all went wrong during the pit stop phase, which went to grand devastation to Diego Menchaca and also to Marcos Seibert, but they will have a chance. We still, of course, have 2 rounds to go, including this one here in the championship, but this, of course, being the last of the double sprint race weekends. Lucas Dunner, speaking of him improving, he goes 2nd fastest in the timing tower, just 3 tenths away from Nico Menzel. So the times are coming in thick and fast. Eddie Chiva, 8th fastest, improving into the top 10. So now more and more cars finding time. Green here as well for Fabian Schiller in that first sector as well, as we keep our eyes peeled here on Ollie Webb, now making his way around. Of course, 6th fastest currently on our screens. He hasn't improved necessarily in that middle sector, but the first sector is decent. But we're riding on board now with Fabian Schiller. This car now emblazoned in yellow, golden colours, looking for a golden lap. 3.5 tenths behind the top time right now, but it's a personal improvement, a personal best coming out of the middle sector, climbing up through Bank San Medel. Needs to try and bring a final soiree on this lap. 2 minutes and 50 to go. Still enough time for another lap after this one, but he'll be looking to tee that one up with a very special one indeed. Aaron Walker also showing personal improvements, a 10th off the top, but it's still a personal best. Schiller daringly so deep into the gravel trap, not quite touching it, goes 3rd fastest though, and is getting ever closer to Nico Menzel's top spot.
And Menzel has stayed in the pit lane, so he's not going to come out for a final foray here. And he's just said, well, you can beat that if you want. But again, the Tresor Attempto Racing Audi has found the gravel trap with Florian Scholz, this time between turns 1 and 2. Finds a little escape road out there, and there was a car that I think had been through the gravel trap at the final corner as well, so there were plenty of dust as we were watching Fabian Schiller, and Walker was very nearly kicking up some of his own as well, as he goes 5th fastest and takes back Pro-Am pole position for Get Speed.
Yeah, great effort there from Aaron Walker. Diego Menchaca also personal best in the first sector. He's now down to 6th after Walker put in his fastest Pro-Am time. So he is currently the Pro-Am leader essentially here in this top 10 right now. Ollie Webb, 2nd Pro-Am. He's down in 8th place. Menzel, though, still holding on, but for how much longer is that going to be the case? He's in the pits. He will not improve throughout the rest of the session. We've got 1 minute and 30 still to go. Dominic Baumann moves up to 6th fastest as well. Here comes the all-blue Team Motorpark Mercedes AMG GT3. At the helm is Diego Menchaca. Aaron Walker finding 88 thousandths again in that first set, where he's 88 thousandths off the top, but still a personal best. Here comes Menchaca across the line. Not a great final sector, but teeing up one final run. But here comes Walker, and he's improving once more.
The young 18-year-old from Hereford in his 3rd year now of GT3 competition. doing a sterling job out there. Was an early contender for the Pro-Am Championship, but has fallen away since then. Is he going to get traffic here? He's backed out of the lap, 2.8 down in the middle sector, but it is still provisional pole for him, and Ollie Webb isn't on an amazing lap, it must be said. Nor is Cheever, nor is Stanley his closest competitors. So it's looking very good for that number 6 Get Speed crew to hang on to it, but it does look like he's going to try and do one more lap, but there are yellow flags out at turn 3. That might scupper any chances.
Yeah, yellow flags out incidentally, though. It's been a really good start to the weekend for both Aaron Walker and Valentin Pierberg. They were fastest in free practice 3 with a 1:41.826. Of course, the times have gone a bit deeper. That's Cozy, Alessandro Cozy, off into the gravel trap coming out of turns 4. And unfortunately for them, that looks well and truly beached, and that brings the checkered flag out. End of the session. Nico Menzel, currently fastest. Dean McDonald, though, however, was going fastest in the first sector. He is green, and it's a 29.6.
Yeah, now, did he do that under the yellow flags?
Riker is as well.
Question. Yeah, Riker with a PB in the first sector, so we'll see how McDonald and co get on. Here's Riker. And McDonald just behind him as well. So these are the last 2 cars that seem to be improving. Let's see what the middle sector's got. It wasn't, it was a personal improvement, sorry, for McDonald, and not so for Riker, though. He's currently down in 12th position. But McDonald, if he nails the final sector, he might snatch pole position away from the car collection team, because he's only 78 thousandths of a second away. So the McLaren factory driver through this final corner here, wringing the neck of that 720, yes, drives up towards the timing line, and is it going to be pole position? No, not quite, loses a bit of time in the final sector. It's a quarter of a second in the end, but McLaren on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, just a quarter of a second, just under 2.5 tenths off Nico Menzel. They can breathe a sigh of relief. It's a first pole position for Nico Menzel and Gustav Bergström for Car Collection Porsche, a 1:39.335, and they're going to look to go one better than they did back at Austria, where of course they would fall victim to Alessio De Leder after he would take his second victory. Here's the replay of Alessandro Cozy coming into the gravel trap after that spin in the first sector, coming out of turn 4. You can just see the good speed Mercedes in the background and there is Florian Schulze heading into the gravel trap, but he did well to recover, kept the car rolling, kept the forward momentum up, this time not getting beached, to manage to bring it back out onto the circuit, so well done him for that. And obviously he'll be looked to try and go better during the course of the race. But what an occasion. Fantastic effort for Nico Menzel. Here is the moment as well. There is...
So I think that's Kotze.
Looks like Cozy coming out
was the one who kicked up all the dust that we saw when we were watching Schiller, and then had another moment a few corners later.
Yeah, truly a big moment. But we're going to go down with Alfredo for an interview.
Nico Menzel, pole position here in Barcelona under the sun. First pole position of the season. This is your race?
I hope so. I mean, spot on the car was really, sweet spot, very early in the morning. Or not early in the morning, but we took the earliest decision we can because the sun burns down, as you can say. A wonderful day in Barcelona. So I think track temp increased in the end. The first shot was very important. Thanks to the team. The car was a rocket. And let's go, hopefully for the win later on.
You have been very close, of course, to the first win. Could it be today?
It's time. As you say, we were close twice this season. And we'd like to celebrate the first victory since a few years for the Porsche, and I think we're on it.
And if my calculation is correct, you are the 8th different Pullman this season, so it shows that it is really close.
Yeah, it shows that the championship is close. We have many good drivers, many good teams, many cars in general, and it's good competition, it's fun, and let's finish this off.
Well done, all the best for later.
Thank you.
Well, it's a must in his eyes. Let's take you through the classification. Nico Menzel, he is on top. Gustav Bergström, his teammate, will be looking to take Car Collection Motorsport to their first victory this season. Dean McDonald, it was a grand effort in the very end of qualifying, going second fastest. Lucas Dunner, again, improving here in this championship. What more is there to come from him? And, of course, Julian Hanses. Fabian Schiller, 4th. Aaron Walker, 5th. Dominic Baumann in 6th. Diego Menchaca in 7th. Ollie Webb in 8th. Leonardo Polcini, 9th. Eddie Cheever in 10th place. Jamie Stanley, 11th. Simon Riker, Eastland Audi. Remember, our championship leaders, starting from 12th. Not a bad place to be. Marzio Moretti in 13th. Nicola Marinangeli, 14th. Christian Korzanowski in 15th, with Alessio Deleda in 16th place. Timon van der Helm in 17th. Jim Pla in 18th. Birthday man Timo Rumpkeil, 19th, with Giuseppe Cipriani in 20th place. 21st for Adam Osaka. Tom Jackson in 22nd. Liebel Milotta in 23rd, with Macy Blachek in 24th. Then Stuart Proctor, 25th, with Morten Stromstead in 26th. Marcin Jedlinski, 27th. Alessandro Cosi, who had those issues in the gravel trap, 28th. Marcello Han in 29th. Florian Scholze, who also ventured into the gravel, in 30th. Hash in 31st. Poitou Vera in 32. And then Dexter Muller, 33rd. 34th for Gino Forgione, and Thor Haugen in 35th. Sorry. But there we have it, folks. What an entertaining qualifying session that was. But it's going to be Nico Menzel and Gustav Bergström starting on pole position for this afternoon's race. Be sure to join us this afternoon at 4:15.